You're listening to the Options Insider Radio Network. For more quality options programs, visit www.theoptionsinsider.com or search for Options Insider Radio Network in your podcast provider of choice. Listeners can also access all of our programming through our mobile app, available in iTunes and on Google Play.
Welcome to the Hot Options Report, your premier source for insight into the fast-moving options market. Each day, we'll track down the products that are dominating the options chains and impacting your trading account. From Apple to VIX and everything in between, if it's lighting up the options tape, then you'll find it on the Hot Options Report. If you're listening to this show, chances are you're pretty serious about options trading. So let me put something on your radar. Public. It's the most cost-effective way to trade options. That's because Public is the only platform that gives you rebates on your options trades. They also have some of the industry's lowest index options fees. Whether you're placing single leg or complex multi-leg trades, every dollar counts. Check out public.com/optionsbrief and discover the most cost-effective way to trade options. Paid for by Public Investing. Full disclosures in podcast description. And now, get ready to scan the tape for the most explosive options activity on the street. It's time for the Hot Options Report.
All right, everybody, welcome to the Hot Options Report for midday, Friday, August 29th, coming at you a little bit earlier today. But a lot of stuff popping off on the screens today. Most of the major indices selling off a bit, and VIX actually popping about a handle, hanging out at about 15.5. So let's start out there, shall we? Is it a rock'em sock'em robots day out there in VIX land? The answer is it's pretty respectable. Midday, it's at about over 500,000 contracts already, 517,000. So well on its way to the ADV, which is back up to about 827,000. Now, that said, of course, the rest of the day could be really quiet. We can hang out around 600K for the rest of the day, but we shall see out there in VIX land. Either way, the hot option out there in VIX land today, 147,000, almost 150,000. That's a big print of the October 31 calls. That is all opening paper. Average price nearly 90 cents. Interesting, and most of that looks like lifting offers here, listeners. So interesting stuff. You also have the OC25s trading around 37,000, so it passes Prolog and VIX. It's probably a ratio spread, but still, just on its face, OC31s, 150,000 times for 90 cents. Does that float your boat? Clearly, it's floating someone's boat today as we keep on rolling out to SPY. Is it a hot day out there in SPY? The answer is yes. Already 4.3 million contracts on the tape in SPY land. The ADV exactly 8 million contracts. SPY hanging out off about 4.5 handles, or about 0.75% right now. And what is the hot option midday here in SPY today to wrap up our week? It's 286,000 of these 645 calls going up today for an average price of about 92 cents. We're hanging out below that right now, 644 and about a third. So SPY needs to get in gear to the upside. If you are buying those, listeners, out to the SPX we go. We know in the past the SPX likes a little bit of downside, likes a little bit of whipsaw action, tends to drive some flow out there. Is that the case today? The answer is yeah, it's looking decent. About 2.1 million contracts on the tape already against an ADV of 3.86 million. And in terms of action, the hot option out there, folks, still going to the upside. 6,500s were popular yesterday. 6,500s leading the dance again today. 74, almost 75,000 of these have gone up already by midday here. Average price of about $2.20. So 6,500 expiring at the end of the day. If you're buying those, you need the SPX to get in gear, listeners. Can we have another whipsaw day and close unch to up on the day? Well, I guess we'll find out. All right, out to small caps we go. IWM selling off right now. Small caps around 0.5%. So moving with the major indices, not quite as much to the downside though. Putting up today 625,000 contracts already. That's against an ADV of about 1.5 million. So a little light. You'd like to see a little more if they're going to hit that ADV, but we'll have to see what the second half of the session holds. As for hot options out there today, we're going back to September downside. It is 57,000 of the September 225 puts going up for an average price of about $1.67. So $10 out of the money puts are hanging out right around 235 right now in IWM. So $10 out of the money puts, listeners, for $1.67. You got until September expiration. Does that float your boat? As we keep on rolling out to the Qs, is it a hot day out there in the Qs? The answer is it's decent. 2.7 million contracts on the tape already. That's about 500,000 more than we expect this time of day. That's against an ADV of 4.25 million, and of course a lot of that because the Nasdaq once again leading the charge, this time to the downside, off about 1.2% right now out there in Q's land. What is the hot option out there in the Nasdaq today? It is 135,000 of the 570 puts. That is exactly the strike we are hanging out at right now. 570, pretty much exactly, off about $7 in the Qs. So they have an average price of about $1.24. So if you're buying those, you need the Qs to keep falling out of bed and not do their end of day reversal. Interesting stuff out there in the Qs. All right. To the land of single names we go, listeners. All right, listeners, let's kick it off in our top 10 today. Caution nearly 400,000 contracts to break into the top 10 right now, midway through the session. 391,000. That is a pretty active day. We've seen some days where the entire day cost you around 400,000 to break into the top 10. So definitely a pretty active day, coming on the heels, of course, of NVIDIA and Snowflake earlier in the week. We had Marvell after the bell last night, and that leads us to our number 10. Marvell, of course, selling off about $12.50 or 16.25%, trading right around 64 3/4 right now, putting up nearly 400,000 contracts with a number 10 spot, 391,000 contracts to be precise. All right, and what's the hot option out there in Marvell today? I'm going to go out on a limb and guess it's probably a put. Whether it's expiring today or not is the open question. Probably not, given people probably want a little bit more time than just this to capture the full magnitude of this sell-off, and that does appear to be the case. Nearly 16,000 of the October, skipping through September, going all the way out to October. October 50 puts going up for an average price of about 60 cents. Wild stuff out there in Marvell, listeners. Next up, we have another newcomer to the top 10. This is Weebull, aka Bull, trading a little bit shy of $14 right now, off about 70 cents or nearly 5%. So not a great day for them. They also reported earnings, and obviously the street not liking what they're hearing, putting up nearly 400,000 contracts today, 394,000 contracts to be precise. And what is the hot option out there in the Bull today, listeners? And you might be forgiven for guessing some puts, but actually no, it's calls. It's 15 calls expiring next week on the 5th. 58,000 of those have traded today for an average price of 25 cents. And you might say that's cheap, and maybe it is, but you're only getting a week. And if you're buying those, you need the stock to really reverse this sell-off and rally pretty aggressively. So interesting stuff out here. 15 calls going up nearly 16,000 times in the Bull. As we keep on heading out to number 7, listeners, it's our old pal, the monster, aka MicroStrategy. Now I think just going by strategy, 440,000 contracts on the tape for good old, let's just call them the monster, it's more fun. They're selling off about 30 cents today. It's not a huge mover for them. And the hot option out there today, 31, almost 32,000 of the 370 calls expiring next week. That is quite the strike, listeners, given the fact that the stock is trading shy of 340 right now, and also the fact that you're getting $1.76 for those. That's what they're trading for right now. Wow, that is wild stuff, listeners. Over $1.70 for the 370 calls expiring next Friday. You like those in MicroStrategy? They already had earnings. The next announcement isn't until October 30th, so I'm not sure what the catalyst is that is going to drive MicroStrategy back north of the 370 strike. But if you're buying those for north of $1.70, you better hope this thing gets its act in gear by next Friday. As we keep on rolling to number 7, it's our old pal Palantir. 479,000 contracts on the tape, selling off about $1.40 or nearly 1% today. And the hot option out there in Palantir land, 41, almost 42,000 of the double puts, the 155 puts. So expiring today, options yet again going up for an average price of about 75 cents. If that is the case, we once again need to get in gear if you're buying these, listeners, because trading right around 156 3/4 right now. You need to drop $1.75 just to have those options start to become relevant. Then obviously you need to run another 75 cents just to break even on those. So you need Palantir to get in gear to the downside if you are buying those. By the way, you got the rest of the session. And coming in at number 6, it's our old pal AMD, selling off nearly $5 or about 3% today, putting up nearly 500,000 contracts right now, 482,000 contracts for AMD. And the hot option out there today, almost 31,000 of the 165 calls. Again, expiring today, average price of nearly 60 cents for these. So we're trading 163.70 right now, listeners. So you know what I'm going to say. If you're buying those, you need AMD to turn around pretty aggressively before the end of the day. Once again, the A tech names are next to each other. Next up, our old pal Apple, coming in at number 5, 660,000 contracts on the day. Apple hanging out almost literally unched on the day, right around 232.5 right now. The hot option in Apple land today, listeners, 44,000 of the 235 calls. Average price of about 27 cents, so it's not a ton, but then again, they're $2.50 out of the money calls right now, so you really need this stock to run by the end of the day if you're buying those. But we've seen a lot of that kind of wild paper going up out there today, listeners. Speaking of wild, Open, $4.36 right now, up about a dime today. So actually somewhat quiet compared to what we've seen out of them lately. Putting up nearly 700,000 contracts, 695 to be precise, for the number 4 spot. What is the hot option out there? I think you can guess it's probably near dated calls. The question is it 4 halves or 5s? And the answer is it's 5s, 103,000 of the 5s trading for 11 cents, listeners. Yes, we're hanging out 436, and the 5s are trading for 11 cents. If you wonder about the 4 halves, they've traded 94,000 times, so close number 2, 23 cents for those. Obviously a much better chance for those bad boys, but still, hope still springs eternal in these. Looks like a lot of people are lifting offers on these as well. Just appeared to be a lot of opening buying paper, even today. Got half of a session left to roll those dice. We'll see if you come up snake eyes or not out here in Open as we keep on rolling out to number 3, going to China, listeners. It's our old pal Baba. Earnings before the bell today, 135.5, up nearly $15. So clearly all is right with the world out in good old Alibaba, and indeed China by proxy. Baba putting up 821,000 contracts today to take the number 3 spot. And man, a lot of paper going up out here. What is the hot option? It is about 37,000 of the 135 calls, again expiring today. Average price nearly 50 cents, so they're not giving these away. You know what I'm going to say? Stock's got to pop about $0.50 just to have these things start to be relevant, and obviously another $0.50 beyond that to break even. So interesting stuff. Baba can get there easily by the end of the session. It just needs to get in gear a little bit. A rough day to be rallying when the rest of the market is selling off. That could come back to bite these 135s, if they are indeed buying them, as we keep on going out to number 2, listeners. Yes, number 2, it's Tesla. Coming in pretty aggressively, 335.80, off about $10.20 or nearly 3%. So we were talking about a lot of fairly out of the money calls yesterday in Tesla. Those do not appear to be looking good today. Tesla already putting up over about 2.05 million contracts for the number 2 spot. The hot option out there in Tesla land, listeners, 149, so basically 150,000 of the 3 half calls, the 350 calls, going up for an average price of about 68 cents. And again, 350 is a distant memory when we're hanging out at 335. I mean, anything could happen in the second half of the session. We could see an aggressive turnaround. We've seen that many times before in the markets when we had some red on the screen to start the day, but like we have a lot of paper out here. Folks are buying these calls where people need aggressive turnarounds in the second half of the session to make this stuff pay off. We'll see if it comes to fruition as we keep on rolling to the number 1 spot. You know it, you love it, maybe you hate it. It's NVIDIA. 174.5, off about 5 3/4 right now, or about 3.25%. So they're coming for the big dog out there as well today, listeners. NVIDIA putting up 3.13 million contracts already, just a day and change after its big earnings announcement. And the hot option out there today, on a day when NVIDIA is selling off nearly 250,000, 242,000 of the 177.5 calls. Again, expiring today, average price of 38 cents. So again, it sounds like a broken record, but this is the paper we have, listeners. These are over $3 out of the money calls, $3.10 out of the money calls. They got a half of a day to go. People are trading them for around 40 cents. You know what I'm going to say, listeners? If you're buying these bad boys, you really need NVIDIA to get in gear to the upside. That seems to be our theme for our top 10 today. People, for the most part, if they're buying a lot of these options and it passes prologue, they probably are. They need a lot of reversals in the second half of the session. Will we get it? I guess we'll find out. That's going to do it for your midday hot options report for Friday, August 29th. No hot options report, no shows of any kind on Monday. Get out there, enjoy the Labor Day holiday. We don't have a lot of days when the market is closed, so take advantage of it, listeners. And then we'll see you back here on Tuesday, another episode of the Hot Options Report. And stay safe out there, everybody.
Check out public.com/optionsbrief and discover the most cost-effective way to trade options. Paid for by Public Investing. Full disclosures in podcast description.